To get started on this exercise, you should have downloaded the Lesson 10 zip file and opened the 10 Start InDesign file. The first thing we'll do is to save this file by going up to File and Save As, and let's rename this 10 Tables. We'll keep it an InDesign document and click Save. The workspace that they're going to recommend you work in can be found under Window, down to Workspace, and choose Advanced. This will set up everything that we're going to be working for, specifically using the tables and also how to do the formatting of all the properties. If necessary, you can also go to the window, back to Workspace, and tell it to reset Advanced to put everything back to where it belongs. The first thing we're going to do is to convert this tabbed off information into a table. InDesign allows you to quickly convert tabbed information into a table structure by using your Type tool. So with the Type tool selected, I'm going to highlight all of this text here. We'll go up to Table and down to Convert Text to Table. Inside the dialog box, we want to convert every tab into a column, and every new paragraph return, the little pilcrow, will be a new row separator. At this time, we're not going to apply any table styles to it, so when we say OK, you can see how it quickly and easily converts all this into a nice little tabled structure. Now with the table created, we can also edit it. Using your Type tool, let's insert our insertion point right here inside of this cell. With this cell active, we can go up to Table, down to Insert, and let's insert a row. We're going to put one row below our selected area and say OK, and this will give us this area down here. From here, we need to type in different things into each little cell. The first one, we'll type activity. We'll click over and press day, click over, time, and then finally click over and fee. To format everything, we can choose the entire row by clicking on it and dragging over. Open up your Paragraph Styles panel and choose Table Column Heads. Next, let's add a column to the right-hand side of this. Place your insertion point anywhere on this far right-hand side. I've got it next to Fee, and we can go up to Table. Let's insert, this time, a column. In this case, we want to put one column to the right of that area and say OK. Notice that when it does this, this will be outside of our entire text box. We're going to fix this in just a moment. But the thing to remember is your tables can exist inside of a text box, but they can extend outside of the text box boundaries. If you ever need to delete a row or column, first you can quickly select it by clicking right on the edge, and that'll get the entire row selected. Then you can go up to Table, down to Delete, and in this case we can choose Row, and it's gone. If you ever find you need to reorder any of the information inside of an area, you can quickly select it. So let's do it for this last bit. With it selected, you can then click inside of here and drag up until you can see it highlights where you want to place the information. Let's put it below tending flowers, and that will swap out those. Now, if you need to adjust the width of any one of the columns, you can hover over a column and click and drag to be able to readjust it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up until the top of my columns is right close to the edge of my little ruler at the top. From here, I can click and drag, and let's set this first one to be right at 3.5 inches on that top ruler. For the day column, we can click on it, and let's drag it into 4.25, which is right there. For the time column, let's do 5.5, and if it's off by a little bit, that's okay. For the fee column, let's do that at 6.25, and then finally for this last column, we'll do it at 7.75, right there at the margin. From here, we'll do Command 0. We'll also save. Now is a good time to save what we're working on. Now that the columns fit better, let's see if we can add a little bit of extra space around everything. To do this, we're going to open up our Tables panel by going to Window, down to Type in Tables, and open up the Table panel. This will give us full control over everything we want to do inside of this table. With the table still selected, we can go up to Table, down to Select, and let's choose the entire table. This makes everything automatically selected. Do make sure that all the changes we're going to create are turned on by confirming that everything is linked together. Let's add some inset spacing to all of the edges by typing in 0.125. When you tab over, you can see it automatically places in all of those, and it also increases the amount of space between everything. This inset is the amount of spacing that's in between or around the edges of each individual cell. Next, let's make sure everything is centered by choosing Center inside of this. If you ever want to merge multiple cells together, for instance, I want this headline to go all the way across this entire area. We're going to highlight this cell and all the cells that we want to merge together, so this entire row. Then we can go up to Table, down to Merge Cells, and now they're treated as one big cell. If I wanted to alternate a filling pattern between each of the different rows, with the table selected, we can go up to Table, down to Table Options, and then choose Alternating Fills. From here, notice that the Fills option is turned on, and let's choose Alternating Every Other Row, and we'll keep everything default. If you turn on Preview, this will give you an idea of what it will look like as it fills in every other row. From here, we can say OK. Now that's a great way to automatically fill everything in, but if you did want to apply an individual fill, you can click and drag to highlight an entire cell. Notice that the cell is selected, not just the words itself. You can then open your swatches panel and then choose whatever color swatch you want it to be. In this case, we'll choose purple, and let's bump up the tint from 20% to 50%. We can go up to Edit and deselect all to be able to see the change. Now, while changing the fill colors can be easy, changing the stroke or line colors can be a little bit more challenging. Let's take this one step at a time. First off, I want to apply this to my entire table that I've selected. So one more time, I'll go to Table, and let's choose Select Table, Select Table, so everything is selected. To help us out, this is a little preview proxy bar that lets you know what area of your lines are selected. The blue that's highlighted is what will be affected, and so if there's an area that's not selected, it will not be changed or affected. What we want to do is we want all of our horizontal lines to be set to 0 and have no lines whatsoever. So to do this, I'm going to go up to my little proxy bar. I'm going to make sure all of my horizontal lines are turned blue, and any vertical lines, I'm going to click on them until they turn black. Now with it looking like this, we can set our point size to be down to 0. All of our vertical lines, we can select by deselecting all of the horizontal and click on each one of these. We're going to set those to be half a point. Now when I go up to Edit and deselect all, you can see the verticals have a line, but there's no horizontal line to them. Now if we did want to add a border around the entire thing, there's an easy way to do this. Once again, let's go up to Table, select our table. Let's also go back up to Table, down to our Table Options, and in this case let's choose our table setup. From here, the table border will only apply to the outer edge. Just like the others, let's give it a 1/2 inch border, and we'll keep it the default of everything else. We'll say OK. You can then deselect it by clicking away to see your results. Now at this point, everything inside of our table is essentially functioning as its own individual text frame. InDesign can also function to add graphics inside of each cell as well, and therefore it will function as a graphics frame. Let's do this by zooming in to this first little line next to the $10 fee. Clicking inside of it, we need to convert this frame to a graphics frame. So with it selected, go up to Table, down to Convert Cell to Graphics Cell. Notice that this gets rid of a little hashback tag, and then you can place a picture inside of this area. This is also available. Let's click on the next gray one next to the $25 one. This is also available in your Tables panel. So with it selected, you can go to Table, Options, and then convert the graphic cell here too. To place something inside of it, let's choose our black arrow selection tool, and I'm going to click inside of the first little cell that we created. Let's go to File, down to Place, and locate the butterfly JPEG. Make sure Replace Selected Items is selected, and we'll say Open, and it'll place it inside of here. In order to see the entire thing so it's not cropped off, you can go to Object, down to Fitting, and choose Fill or Fit the frame to the content. This will automatically resize the frame to fit the content inside of it. Let's do the same for the second one with the garden flags. With it selected, go to File and Place, choose the garden flag JPEG and say Open. This time, to use the keyboard shortcut, you can do Command-Option-C, or if you're on a Windows, you can do Control-Option-Alt-C. Now, if you still want to place images inside of these last two gray ones, but you don't have them automatically converted, this process can also take place whether you convert it or not. Here's what I mean. Let's go up to File and Place, and let's choose the last two images by clicking on them, and you can hold down the Command key or the Shift key and click on the last two. So with both selected, we'll say Open. Then carefully click inside of this one and then this one to automatically place it inside of those two cells. As with the others, you can automatically resize it by doing Command-Option-C, or you can select it and go up to Object, down to Fitting, and then fit the frame to the content. I'm going to zoom out so we can see the entire table. Each one of these images is exactly 1 inch tall. We want all of the other areas that don't have an image to also be 1 inch tall as well. To do this, grab your Type tool and let's select the rows from attracting butterflies all the way down to making flying kites. So everything in this area is selected. To make sure everything is exactly 1 inch, open your table panel. The height of it needs to be set exactly to a measurement, and that measurement can be typed in here of 1 inch. When you click away, you can see how it automatically resizes everything to be the measurement that we typed in. To add a little decorative element, they've applied this little leaf icon or leaf glyph. Now this is an actual vector illustration. You can use your black arrow tool to select it, and with it selected, let's go up to Edit, and we're going to cut it away. Now to place it inside our text, let me zoom out a bit. Let's grab our Type tool, and we want to put this inside of the Illustrating Botanicals. So with your Type tool, place it here. Let's go up to Edit and Paste. And if necessary, we can do a little space after it to give it some extra space. We'll do the same thing for making hummingbird feeders. So place it here, give a little space, and then Edit and Paste. This is known as an anchored object. Now, one thing about tables is that usually the first row is known as the header of that table. This header is usually formatted a little bit different, and you want it to be consistent across multiple tables, even across the same table that may span multiple different pages. So what we want to do in this case is not just have the first row, but the first two rows. So I'm going to select both of those by clicking and dragging over both of these. And let's establish both of these rows as the header. With them selected, we can go up to Table, down to Convert Rows, and let's choose To Header. With that established, we can now use it on multiple pages. We'll scroll down to the very bottom of this one, and let's click on this very last row, and let's insert some more rows. Let's go up to Table, down to Insert a Row, and let's do 4 more rows below this area. Now this will add on more rows, but it's going to put them on the next page. We can actually scroll down to our next page, and you can see how it continues down here, and it also keeps the same header that we had on the previous page. Of course, we want everything to be consistent, so let's go back up to our first table and click inside of it. Let's open up our Table Styles panel. If you don't see it, here it is here. With it selected, we'll go to Choose a New Table Style. We'll call this our Activity Table. Notice that it's saving all of these different styles, and we'll say OK. Now let's establish our table header. If we select this first line, we can save this as a cell style. With that selected, let's hold down the Option and click on the plus sign. This will create a new one. This will be called our table header. Notice all the styles it will save. Also, let's put this as a paragraph style of the table head and say OK to that. Now to apply these, since they weren't applied, we can simply click anywhere inside of our table. You can choose your table styles and click on Activity Table. Then we can select this first cell and choose Cell Style and choose Table Header for this one. With that, we can preview everything we've done by going up to View, down to Screen Mode, and choose Preview. Everything looks good. We'll go to File and Save. Save this up as an InDesign file and upload it to the class page.